Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode. Yes, we are on our third episode before cancellation, so we're doing well. We are on a streak. Welcome to this debacle of a show that our good buddy Steve has decided to produce for us, called Down the Wrestling Rabbit Hole. I'm, of course, one half of this chaos, controlled chaos, or whatever you want to call it. Howard Morgan, and joining me as always is my faithful tag team partner, Mozart Fontaine. Mozart, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
Hey, I'm good, Howard. How are you?
Um, I'm doing all right. I'm thinking, I don't know if I'll do it this week because, obviously we record and I want to give it a little more thought, but because I know in post production they put graphics and stuff up. So I think
Oh,
during one of the shows,
we're
I just wanted to
fancy.
rattle off a bunch of wrestlers' names in succession, just in rapid fire, to see if our producer can keep up with the graphics on one show. I'm not going to tell him
Oh,
what show
yeah,
it is. I'm just going to fire him out there and
he'll be all fired up. Yeah,
yeah,
you don't want to
and
do
let
that.
him go.
hmm
I'm going to warn him that he might want to listen to this show or the show that I do
Yeah,
it on. But I just want to see how good he is at post production because he does a great job for us. I rewatch it, and the
oh,
graphics
cool.
come up and the pictures come up. It really is a cool thing to do, and I don't know how to
Nice.
do it, so I'm going to make him earn his money.
Listen, we're not here to worry about the technical stuff. We're here to just cause trouble.
Right. Absolutely. Just cause a little bit of trouble and some chaos. But, and we were texting, over the weekend and even yesterday, and I'm having a real hard time keeping up with Raw. And I say keeping up, it, it's taking a lot for me to force myself to watch it. And I just, there's nothing there that's engaging, nothing there that is polarizing me enough to say, hey, continue watching us each and every night on a Monday night. Especially when I saw that debacle Becky Lynch match that she should have been so much better at, and it was just god awful, and it showed. She can't lead a match, she can't call a match, she can't even be a second in a match. It's the product got awful, and then the promos backstage. I don't know. She was arguing with Seth, half paying attention.
Uh-huh.
I don't even know what that was about because I kind of turned it off. Just the whole show, just I don't know, made me not sick, but it was disheartening because this was, these were two of the, well, it was two at the time. It was them and Jim Crockett Promotions that I watched religiously, and they've just they're so far falling off of where they were, and I don't know what it is. What besides the obvious. Um,
I was going to say, what do you want
yeah,
to, where do you
because
want to
we
start?
talked
Yeah.
about it before, but what are they thinking? Like, what is going through Triple H's mind on a Monday night to think this is the best product that I have?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm wondering if it's just content overload, like if the talent's overworked. Um, as you know, I painfully, started watching again recently in the last few months, and it really kind of, yeah, I don't know. It was, as you know, we were talking off air, like, I'm going on a few hours of sleep and whatnot, but it wasn't very engaging to me. Like, I didn't look at it either. Like, these are matches that are making me want to either turn on the next show, as we've talked about many times, buy yet another app for yet another piece of the product, where it's all like fragmented and puzzled now. Like, I can't just get my content off. I turn it on one or two channels. Now I've got a channel, I've got an app, I've got another app. I might need to watch it at 8 a.m. in the morning instead of, there's a lot of weirdness going on. And I caught something from a wrestling veteran, and I don't remember who it was, and probably wouldn't name him if I did, but they were saying how, like, uh, every generation kind of comes along and is like, well, my generation was better, and what are these kids thinking? It's not really that. I think that's a cop out, to be honest with you. It's clearly, if you play most weekly television shows from any company, I've not watched a lot of TNA, to be honest with you, but from let's just say both the supposed big two, which obviously, as you know how I feel, there's really only one.
It's only right.
And that's the truth. Pull away a certain amount of, a certain AEW is 1 second away from not being a wrestling promotion because it's really held up by money.
Yeah.
I get it. Everybody's gonna argue with WWE. It's not though. It's not. It's on shaky ground to me. The entire wrestling business, other than our beloved independents, I think, are on shaky ground. And the reason I say that is, if you were to, and I challenge anybody to do it, it's very readily available. Go find something off of YouTube, or I'm sure everybody, and I actually don't, but I'm sure most people that would listen to us have Peacock. Go find the archived stuff. Watch an hour-long show or a 2-hour-long show, or find an old pay-per-view. Go back at least 20 years. I can't believe it's 20 years already. If you go back 30 or
I say,
40
yeah, I
and
go
you
back 30 because it's
compare,
only the 2000s then.
but even that stuff, although it started the crash TV trend, you can see that it's more well thought out and more put together than it is now. And it's not really hard to see. I find a real lull, and people say, well, who are you talking to? Kids is who I'm talking to.
Yeah.
My daughters, my nephew, who owns about every wrestling figure you could ever imagine from every era. He's not interested in anything other than John Cena. And I said, why? And he goes, I don't know. He doesn't know why he's not, but I know why he's not, because
Right.
there's nothing engaging. Um, that's really hard, man. It's not a look. We joke all the time. Like, I'd open a wrestling promotion with your money, right?
Right. Right.
But I think that what's happened, as is every, and I will underscore it and capitalize it, every company, my company, the local store down the street, everybody is, let's overcomplicate everything now. Whatever happened to Kiss, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Now it's everything is overcomplicated. Every storyline in wrestling has to, intertwine. Every vignette has to lead to the next one. I mean, hell, I watched the other night. I was half asleep here. Normally, I have my watching partner, and we're joking and laughing, but I'm sitting here by myself and watching it, and I'm like, I couldn't care less. And I don't need one. A couple of things that bug me. And everybody's going to say, well, I'm going to overlook it, and I'm going to, suspend my disbelief, is the famous term. But do you really know what that means? And I don't think a lot of people that say it do. If you're sitting there and you actually realize what's going to happen next every second, like, oh my God, there's so and so battling so and so in the back. Oh, he just interrupted his promo. Oh, it's so obvious where they're going with it. It is almost like a really bad parody of itself in a really bad TV show.
Yeah.
Nothing unfolds organically. Not what's wrong with calling out a card before you start a show and then maybe adding one or two matches. Like, um, you don't have to tell everybody the whole card all the time. That's never really been a thing. But I know what certainly wasn't a thing was every there had to be some type of silly interaction, or stupid mix up, or a wrestler making a match. Which, by the way, why do we have authority figures if the wrestlers can all just make their matches?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
um, I see a lot of stuff based. I think I might have texted you and Steve. Isn't that a DQ?
Yeah.
It was a clear DQ,
Right.
no question about it. And again, I just prefer not to say names or go watch the show. It was a clear DQ, but for whatever reason, well, we're not going to disqualify because it doesn't really fit the narrative. Then don't do that.
Right.
That's very simple. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
That's the part where you start to lose people, is incoherence. Now, yes, every generation has had some type of thing where the referee had to oh, the referee's going to give it discretion. They're fighting on the floor. I get that part of it. But when you see really blatant things, and I tell you now, what's again for people who don't know, I've been in the ring for over 20 years. I have worked at that level, not like these guys do. I've been to WWE. I've seen the production. I've worked at TNA shows. I know what that goes into it. I know a lot of the guys and girls. So it's not an indictment. It's not a knock. But what is that I can clearly sit back now and watch almost every referee I can. I could name the few that I'm close with that are not doing it who are excellent. But almost every referee pulls that last 3 count now. How about we just get our shoulder up?
Right.
How about that? Because I was specifically taught, and it's not an urban myth, that when you are refereeing, it is a shoot. It is always a shoot. 1, 2, 3. If their shoulder doesn't come up, not on the referee.
Right.
It just never has been. That's the way I was trained. That's the way everybody I've ever talked to was pretty much trained. So not understanding these trends where simple things like that would it takes the enjoyment out of it for me. It's like, well, I just saw you. But if I saw you, I'm sure every 10-year-old in the crowd did.
Yeah. Now, and that was the
You know.
the beauty of what I'll call old school
Yeah.
wrestling was and Tommy Young was great at it. You know,
You
Dick
couldn't
Worley
be a
was
referee back in those days and
great.
not know what you were doing there.
Right. Dick
And
Worley was great
yeah,
because he didn't see the key things that he should have saw, and that's what made them genius. Was they saw everything about the match, and they may have just gotten distracted by a
yeah.
manager or something, and they turned
Well,
around.
I saw something last night too by top level guys where a referee was grabbed. I was always taught if you grab me, I might really call the DQ on you,
Right.
disqualification for that. Don't touch the referee. Like go the referee away. Play the psyops game, the psychological operations game. Give them something to really get mad at you about. Like the detail is missing. The
Yes.
detail to everything is absolutely out the window. And frankly, if somebody wants to say, well, that's just today's wrestling. Okay, that's great. Guess who doesn't like it? Me. Guess who else doesn't like it? A lot of people who quit
Yeah.
watching.
Probably 98% of the other people,
Yeah,
that watch it.
yeah.
Um, I just, I don't get it. And listen, the production of it is better than what it was. I mean,
Yeah.
with the amount of production that goes into it.
All cameras and lighting
Yeah,
and sound. Yeah,
and
it's
the lighting,
great.
the sound, the pyro, the
Yeah.
special effects, all of that stuff is great. But the wrestling product is, and we said this multiple times, on this show, and
Mhm.
our other show, Matt Madness on the VOC Nation, that it's wrestling
Mhm.
is still on the marquee, and what you get
Yeah.
wrestling pales in comparison to what you get in production value. I mean, it's
Yeah.
unbalanced, it's severely unbalanced.
It's keeping unbalanced. I
You know,
agree.
and going back to the old school philosophy, I watched the interaction between the Miz and Carmelo backstage, which you never really saw before. I mean,
Hmm.
and of course now Carmelo comes out to accept Sami Zayn's challenge, and he's standing up there. I'm thinking to myself, he's up there way too long. Like something's going to happen, and I kind of expected the Miz to attack him, but I did not. But I knew something was holding him up there
Yeah.
far too long, and then it happened. I'm like I can't. When I listen, we all saw the movie Titanic, right? We know that the boat sank, so I'm not
Yeah.
surprised that Titanic sank. But I shouldn't know the outcome of the wrestling show. I shouldn't be able to, like you said, predict um, the outcome and say, oh, this is what's going to happen. This is happening, and we can absolutely predict
Well,
what's
your
going on.
Titanic is kind of an apropos um, example you used because as we hear the wrestling media to hype how great the numbers are, great quarter, great this, great that. Oh, our numbers are up. To me, I would disagree. Our producer has come up with some really intriguing numbers from some legitimate sources. I won't speak to them because I don't have them.
Right.
But let's just say the numbers, as I've always suspected, are not what they really are, not what they're saying they are, in terms of buy rates, in terms of viewership, in terms of networks being happy with the product. Um, but if you were to just read it, just look at your, you know, gargled, bullet point social media type of stuff. It's kind of like, let's not, have the band striking up the fiddle and playing while the Titanic's going down.
Right.
Like you're
Right.
you're just you're that's ridiculous. Like you should be trying to, you know, as in on the Titanic, they should have had all those folks helping, but yet they're playing instruments as the ship sinks.
Right. Right.
Which, by the way, from my understanding, did really happen. It wasn't just like a movie thing.
No, yeah, yeah. I've heard that from on
Yeah.
several different levels.
Well, that was the arrogance, which again we're kind of dealing with in wrestling too. That was the arrogance of the White Star Line people. Oh, this ship can't sink. Oh, they're just going to play it. Watch this. Yeah,
Right.
watch it. And,
Yeah.
I think it was under 4 hours, I believe. I might even be wrong about that.
Yeah. It didn't take long,
You know,
but yeah, I
but
just I wish that it was different. The whole product in general. Like I said, I like the production. Um, I don't like the product, and there's a lot of
I don't either.
I don't want to say a lot of blame to go around, but there's a lot of things that could be fixed. I think, like you said, they overcomplicate it. It's very, and
Hmm.
again, and we said this, at nauseum, that the whole idea, the whole premise, and why pro wrestling works is because it's good versus evil.
Yeah,
Good has to triumph, but good doesn't always win.
yeah,
And evil always finds a way, whether it's fair or unfair, more than likely unfair,
yeah.
to win, which keeps you coming back. They always used to dangle that carrot out in front of you to make you want to come back. And I think Dusty Rhodes said it best when they put the title on Sting when he beat Ric Flair. It really didn't elevate him to where they
Hmm.
thought it was going to be. And Dusty summed it up great because we as fans, although we wanted to see it, we didn't want to see Sting win the title really. We wanted to see Sting chase for the title, and that's kind of where the money's at. Chasing
Hmm.
that title. That's what kept you coming back, week after week and show after show.
Yeah.
Every time they came to Philly, you were going to want to see Sting and Rick. Is this the time that Sting beats Ric Flair? And when he finally
I think
does,
it's
it's
kind
done.
of too. It's interesting too because I've heard that many times over the years. There is a lot of money in the chase, but if you take a promotion, um, we did it here. Jim did it here, locally in Delaware. If you base it around a hero, though, then you have to turn that around. See, those days it
Right.
wasn't based around a hero. It was like, okay, Sting, that was an accurate statement in my opinion because that's how the promotion had been booked for a number of years, not accidentally. Okay, we've got this great heel champion on top, but when you look at the opposite of take Bruno before that, take Hulk, they said, okay, I want to base the promotion around my hero. Hulk
Right.
was not going to be money chasing. Bruno was not money chasing, right?
No, no, no.
So then you change that dynamic because it was a very hero based promotion. And for those who say, well, that would never work because Hulk was cartoony. Well, number one, it did work for
You're
a
right.
long time,
It worked
and
for
Bruno
quite
was
better
was
part of a
not a
decade. It worked. Whether
yeah,
whether he was on top or not, it worked.
yeah, and Bruno was not a villain, or a
A
cartoony
cartoon. Right.
villain. Bruno was presented as legitimate as they come, a strong man, a tough guy. Um, so I think it's just how you position the promotion, but it's an interesting point because when you've done it the way that it was set up when Flair was the champion, and then you have to have the smaller stints. One of the problems that we see now is flip flopping, if you will, of personas. One week you're a heel, one week you're not. One week you might be, the next week you might not be. The one week, and you can have, as we've seen, we saw at the recent ECWA card, you can have a great face versus face match where somebody doesn't have to be the villain.
Right.
But if you base every match on that, at some point somebody has to play the role of the aggressor. Let's just say at least, right?
Right.
Um, it, but you can look at things. I just caught an example of a great one. Caught a match, a clip of Eddie Guerrero working with Dean Malenko, where it was like hold for hold. It was hold for counter, and in that hold and counter hold, it didn't. You didn't necessarily need to know who was good, who was bad. Now, overall, you probably did. I don't remember. I saw the match when it happened years ago, but I don't remember. But there are times where you don't need that dynamic bleeding through and bleeding through. But as a basis, again, keep it simple, stupid. It is
Right.
good versus bad, good versus evil, whatever. If good versus evil is too strong for people, then it's definitely good versus bad. I mean, you have to have a protagonist, as in your good guy, and you have to have your antagonist, as in your bad guy, right? So,
Right.
or again, we'll call him the aggressor. The one that's kind of, so there's that element that's missing, which makes it really hard to stomach at times. And I think for me, I really maybe didn't even really think about it until you sparked it, because we didn't even really know. We just always get on, folks, and we just go down a rabbit hole and
Just
expand the
yeah.
title of it. But I think, Howard, if you think about it, and this is what you just sparked in me, is um, it, the details. Stop overlooking the details. I mean, I must have saw 4 or 5 clips this week. You sent me some, and you knew probably when you sent them, we were all going to laugh in our
Oh
stomach
yeah. Yeah.
of blatant missed shots and the other person selling it. How am I supposed to suspend disbelief when that is a blatant thing now? It's almost it happens on the highest level in a lot of different matches. Like whatever happened to working snug, but not killing each other. That's an art form, you know.
Absolutely.
Having 20 and 30-year careers, having way longer careers by and large than a lot of today's wrestlers do. And I mean today, I'll say from 2000 till present, um, lot less injuries, but yet somehow it looked so much more vicious and brutal. And I could, at that point, suspend my disbelief. Wow, that guy hates that guy.
Right.
Hell, I'm watching this from the dressing room. I'm peeking through a curtain. Hell, I run to the other end of the locker room. And that looks pretty damn real to me. I mean, I'm watching it now, and like I said, it's a parody. It's like, can you be any lighter? Can you miss them a little bit wider? I mean, can we, pull a 3 count a little bit harder? Can we just blatantly disregard a rule set without it being explained why? And I'll tell you, I will say what I have noticed too, and it's hats off to the commentary team. I feel like their job now is to cover everything.
Yes.
Oh, they didn't get all of that. Oh,
You,
they missed that one. Oh, well, they didn't really get all the way. I mean, hell, like I told you, the example of which what I believe should have been a disqualification wasn't even talked about. It was glanced right over. Why was that not a disqualification for said wrestler? Because of the interference of another one. Now, if somebody's like, oh, well, they never made it all the way in the ring. Number one, yeah, the plane of the ropes was broken, so it technically could have been a disqualification.
right.
And there was enough interference. There was enough where you could go back and find hundreds of examples of matches whether it was a second, like a manager of LA, the other wrestler, the tag partner, where they did something nefarious from the outside, and if that's what it was called for, there was or at the very least a warning. In this situation, it was kind of just like, oh, hey guys, don't fight because you're not in the match. Like, it spilled into the ring too much for me to not have, as a referee, wanted to. call it a disqualification.
Right. And, you can always, and what I loved was those opportunities, like you said, and it's always about the detail, right? It's always about how the referee handles, the situation. Because if it's a manager,
True.
Bobby Heenan, Paul Heyman,
Send
when
them
he managed,
away, give them yeah.
right? Tell him, listen, get down. Stay over in your corner. He does it again. Now you send him back to the locker room. He's now
Well,
get out.
didn't we just see? I know for a fact that in the last week, Paul Heyman did that. But guess what? Paul didn't do touch the other wrestler or
Right,
ever break the plane of the ropes. He threatened to climb the rope. Every damn person in that building, and it got heat because every damn person in that building knew he wasn't going to that top rope, but he was acting like he was.
right,
Got the referee's attention.
right.
Guess what he didn't do? Grab the other wrestler, hold on to him right in front of the referee, have an argument, fall through the ropes, almost be in the ring. That's a disqualification,
Right,
seriously.
yeah,
Like, and for anybody who's like, "Oh, Mozart, you're taking it way too seriously." Okay, well, I can't buy it. I don't want to watch it. It's stupid. And that's what every 8, 9, 10-year-old kid. That's what every fan who paid $10,000 in the front row is ultimately thinking. They're going to get in the car and they're not going to remember the card. They're going to be like, wait a minute, why did that happen that way?
yeah, yeah. I thought there was
Whereas
rules. I
it
thought,
should be
you know, right. I thought
right.
he or she was supposed to be
Hmm.
disqualified, or I thought, cheating was against the
Exactly.
rules or whatever. And I just want, and listen, I'm not saying that our time didn't have those things, because I just listened to a um, review of the
Oh, they
AWA
had
Super
stuff from it.
3.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
AWA put on
AWA became unwatchable at one point. I mean,
well, and
AWA,
this
Howard, if you remember, honestly became really unwatchable.
oh yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
this
Sorry.
this pay per view, which was done in 1988, so it's right at the really the
Hmm.
height of WWF catching fire, and Hulkamania is
Hmm.
still running wild. They held a super clash, and it was the AWA and the
Yeah.
professional women's thing. They called it Power, whatever it was. The
Okay.
CWA was involved, but this was a title unification match for the AWA and the WCWA, the World Class and AWA Heavyweight Championship. Think that would be the main
Okay.
event,
I
but it
remember that.
wasn't.
Yeah.
But two matches before that, or it might have been even during
Hmm.
the Wahoo Manny strap match, they talked about the amount of blood that was spewed in the ring. Now, a strap
Okay.
match should draw blood. I mean, you're using a leather strap, right? So you have technically a foreign object that is now legal because of a special stipulation. But they kept harping on, Vern Gagne talked to Stanley Blackburn, and this has got to stop.
Hmm.
We can't have all this blood. We can't have all this blood. Lo and behold, out comes, Jerry Lawler and Kerry Von Erich, and apparently Kerry accidentally cut his bicep,
Hmm.
while he was getting ready for the ring. I don't know if he scratched it or whatever, but he put a significant gash in his arm. So they had to explain the blood loss. So immediately, Lawler hits him with the title or rams his arm into the turnbuckle or something, which now explains the blood on his arm, right? They go through the match. Kerry's now bleeding from the face. There's blood everywhere. Kerry's got the claw on him. The referee makes the pin 1, 2, and he looks up. And Kerry's face is covered with blood, and he calls for a stoppage of the match because Kerry has lost too much blood. Well, what a letdown! The Kerry Von Erich was winning. He was one count away from beating
Well,
Jerry
it begs the
Lawler.
question: why would you stop right then and there? That's terrible
Right.
booking.
That's just
Why
it was a
you've seen it the whole
terrible,
time?
terrible
Yeah.
idea. So the
Yeah, that's not funny. Yeah,
the the
it's
fans,
nonsensical. Yeah,
it's not. It doesn't make any sense. And
right.
then the fans are upset. So you actually have I'll run down the card for you. It was Chavo, Mondo, and Hector against the Rock and Roll RPMs and Cactus Jack. Not a bad opening match. And then
Hmm.
Eric Embry versus Jeff Jarrett. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jimmy Valiant versus Wayne Bloom, which went all of 24 seconds. Iceman
Hmm.
King Parsons versus Brickhouse Brown. Wendy Richter and the Top Guns, who were Ricky Rice and Derek Dukes,
Yeah.
against Bad Company and Medusa. And this was, now you have to follow me.
Hmm.
The women's world title was on the
Yeah.
line. The world
Okay.
tag team titles were on the line, but the
Gotcha.
title only changed hand based on who was pinned. So,
Okay.
so
That could be interesting. That has potential to be
it does.
interesting.
It's just very
Hmm.
confusing.
Yeah.
Diamond Dallas Page was their second, coming down to the ring.
Yep.
Greg Gagne and Ronnie
Remember.
Garvin for the AWA television title for all intents and purposes. Then you had a women's battle royal.
Hmm.
Um, Luna Vachon was in it. Um,
Oh, Luna.
you
She's
know,
a sweetheart,
a
believe it or
bunch of
not.
other,
Very, very.
um,
Hmm.
and and then which, I mean, not bad. It was a street fight lingerie battle royal, kind of gimmicky. Slaughter versus Colonel De Beers.
Which was just not their wheelhouse.
No,
This is
no, it
yeah,
was it was
definitely
very
not. Yeah,
clunky.
yeah.
Um,
Not the
so,
AWA was kind of known for wrestling, and so was World Class. So
right,
at this point, kids follow along. Both promotions are basically failing and falling apart. Hence why
yes,
they're working together so closely.
they're trying. They're really trying. I mean, and the card on paper looks great because then you had Sergeant Slaughter,
Yeah.
Colonel De Beers in a boot camp match. Um, some Samoon Fatu, the Simone SWAT team,
Hmm.
um, with Buddy Roberts from the
Yeah.
Freebirds versus Michael Hayes and Steve Cox. Then you had Wahoo McDaniel, Manny Fernandez
Hmm.
in the strap match. Then Jerry Lawler and Kerry Von Erich in that debacle. And then the main event, if either Wahoo and Manny weren't the main event, or Lawler and Kerry Von Erich weren't the main event, why on God's green earth, and I love these two guys to death,
Hmm.
why would you put the Rock and Roll Express against the stud stable, Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden, as your main event? Which, and this again, I love the Rock and Roll Express,
Doesn't
but
feel like a main event match,
it
though. It
doesn't.
doesn't feel like
It's
a
not. I mean,
finale. No.
and it ended in a disqualification. So you had the last two matches that really could have
Yeah.
drove this show home. One was stopped, and the other was a double
Yeah.
disqualification.
So I think you make a great point because we're going back to what did you say, 88, 87? I don't remember the year, but
88. 88.
that's a terrible booking. That's as nonsensical as stuff you'd see today. So it does happen in every era. The difference is that there's nothing now, and before everybody tells me, oh, AEW offsets, it does not.
No, it doesn't.
There were other pieces of there were other promotions at the time, a lot of other ones that were offsetting that nonsense. That was just a failed attempt at copying Vince at that point in time. So you
And
think
that's
about
exactly what
everything
the narrator said.
had a hey, what's going on,
Well, I was
brother?
gonna say we have a run in Mozart.
We do have a
We
run
have
in.
Maestro joining us. Stro, what's going on, buddy? How are you?
How's it
Yeah,
going, everybody? Um,
good,
I
good.
was going to have up,
We were going over
I was
some.
going to have up Brady tonight, but like nobody could show up, so I didn't want to be stuck. I didn't
Oh
want to be
wow.
stuck talking to myself. So you know what I
They
mean?
Well,
yeah. See,
this might be like talking to yourself with talking to us.
yeah.
No,
Too,
it's
so.
Well, once you have Mozart Fontaine on Brady's Tuesday night show, there's nowhere else you can go from there. So
yeah,
Right.
Brady probably needed a week off, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
He's probably still recovering, is
You
what's
can't
happening.
follow that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Stro, here's where we are. Nonsense in wrestling from all eras. So everybody doesn't think we just pick on today's. Now today's what I saw last night
Well,
and in the last few weeks, there's been some
uh,
nonsense. We talked about, and you said this a couple of weeks ago, so I did steal it from you. Keep it simple, stupid. Stop trying to overcomplicate
amen.
everything. I don't need an exact reason why everybody steps in the ring. I don't need a vignette before every match. Uh, just to recap, some of the biggest things I've seen are the lack of detail. I've seen so many referees. I don't watch AEW, just to be clear. I don't. I'm not a fan. Um, I'm becoming. I tried to become a WWE fan again, but I see referees, and I in particular have two really good friends that are referees there, and they do not do it. Now I see them. Everybody's nervous on the 3 count now after that little incident a few weeks ago with Nia. Everybody's pulling their 3 count. How about we just count as a shoot? Because maybe you could back me up on this, because Howard obviously has never officially trained or worked in a ring. I was always taught that if there is one thing in wrestling that is a shoot, it is the
Yes,
3 count. Get your shoulder up,
absolutely.
right? That's not a myth. That's not an urban
No,
legend.
sir.
But the referees now, they've switched that and put that onus on the referee. I watched last night two different
Mm-hmm.
times that I would have counted to 3, and I'm like, guys, you're making millions of dollars a year on the one of the biggest wrestling show networks ever. Get a shoulder up or don't be in the ring. I don't understand that. So I'm fired up about that. But Howard took us back, and I'm just recapping you so you can jump in with us. Howard took us back to that debacle of a card in '88 where they tried to do the Super Clash, AWA, WCCW, and every match on the card was top-notch talent, but god-awful
Yes,
booking. So
I
that's where
remember
we're
that.
at. Take it away, Howard. So,
I remember it.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah. So
God.
and like I said, so
yeah.
we had Manny Fernandez and Wahoo
Mm-hmm.
McDaniel in a strap match, which should have been a great match, and it was just eh. We had and I was telling Mozart that that drew a little bit of blood because it's a strap match, right? It's a gimmick
Right.
match, so you should, if done right and done, I say correctly, right? Well, I guess it's the same thing. You should have a little bit of blood in a strap match because you're getting hit with a leather
Right.
strap. You're wrapping it around your fist.
Man, it was an honor to be in the ring
And
with both of those guys.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then they went on to say that that AWA was concerned because there was a lot of blood spilled in that last
I
match,
remember that.
and we got to stop with all this brutality.
Oh,
And then
Yeah.
Kerry Von Erich comes out, and he's bleeding, and it's near the end of the match, and he's got the pin. He's got Jerry Lawler dead to rights, pinned. Referee counts 1, 2, looks up at Kerry's face, and it's all covered in blood. And he's like, "Oh, got to stop this match. I'm not going to count 3." And the match goes
that was the one with
to
Lawler.
Jerry Lawler because
Yeah. Lawler, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
it made no sense. And then so you
Yeah, because he didn't see
disappoint
the
the
blood
crowd
before
there,
that.
right? You disappoint the crowd there, and then you bring out the Rock and Roll Express, who I love to death, against the Stud Stable as your quote unquote main event because it's on last, and that goes to a double disqualification.
Oh my Lord.
Like nothing
What?
made sense that whole night.
Was Ronnie
Nothing.
Garvin on that card?
Yes, Ronnie Garvin
Ronnie
and,
Garvin.
and Greg Gagne. Ronnie Garvin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And Greg
Mhm.
Gagne wrestled for the AWA International TV title, which I don't know what International TV is because they only broadcast in Minnesota. So how international were you?
Right.
But it just again, not. I mean, listen, even our generation watched it.
Oh man. Oh
So
yeah. Oh Greg. He was supposed. I'm
Yeah,
still.
it's really
You know the story of Powertown dolls, right?
no,
The action
no.
figures.
I don't.
The wrestling action figures from Powertown.
Mm-mm.
Well,
no.
No.
there seemed to be some issues with some people that waiting for their shipments of dolls, right? And I signed with
Right.
those guys a few years ago, right? And I'm still yet to see them come
Mm-hmm.
out with my action figure. And evidently Ricky Morton,
Okay.
he's in the same boat, right? His son was talking about a Monty and a Pharaoh
Oh
show,
boy.
and I was like, I thought it was just me. Like maybe I'm just having personal grievances, but no, evidently a lot of people. And what was it? Akira, his son, was talking about the excuse they gave him was that why they hadn't been producing is that the tariffs it was too expensive
Uh-huh.
to ship the action figures.
Oh boy.
And I don't know. When you were talking about AWA and WCCW clash there, it just popped in my
Yeah.
head, right? because there's supposed to be a lot of the old school Legend
Yeah.
Yeah.
action figures, right? And I was
Right.
and I
Wow,
was supposed to
that's
be part
funny.
of that deal. I've been trying desperately to get my action figure going. WCW really dropped the ball on my deal because they were supposed to do it. It was in my clause in my
Right.
contract, right, for merchandising,
Hmm.
and they never produced, and so I'm, it's like every time I try to get an action figure deal, something happens,
We got we have to go to our higher consciousness and talk to the source, to God. It's going to take an act of God for you to get an action figure, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I mean, gosh, it's an
Well,
ongoing
and that,
rib, you know. What
you know, right.
It's a
Speaking
universal rib on Stro.
of dropping the ball, again, every generation does it. So we'll fast forward, I don't know, 15 years or so. I don't remember exactly the year that Chamber of Horrors match that they had with the electric
Hmm.
chair in it and Abdul the Butcher. And
Yeah,
apparently the,
I
the
was done
switch,
at that
the
point. As a
switch kept
fan, I
falling.
stopped. Yeah,
Like,
I was done.
it kept falling down and the prop wasn't working. And then finally they put Abdullah in the electric chair and he's bouncing around and
I mean, yeah.
shaking.
So we're supposed to believe that you're
one of the
electrocuting a
matches,
guy, like, legally
one of
on
the
the
matches I
TV.
saw last night was so bad. I
Yeah,
felt like I was in an electric chair with Abdullah. Seriously,
I
Right.
probably I was the same way.
dear
You're
Lord,
absolutely right. Yeah,
Uh,
what are they
I
I
watched
was.
that Becky
doing
Lynch.
now? My God, it's like they can't even throw a decent punch. Look,
That's what I'm saying. Like it's the details that are killing me. I'm like, so I was using like the example of the referees pulling that 3 count. No, get your shoulder up, or guess what? Suffer the consequences. Get reamed out at Gorilla. Whatever's going to happen, that's on the wrestler.
Right.
Get your shoulder up. Um, and it is not. I don't want to. There's going to be that fan or that armchair quarterback who said, "Well, they could have got their bell rung." Guess who's been in the ring for over 20 years and had their bell rung more than that fan who's
right?
saying that? Right? Me. You get your
Yes.
shoulder up, or I don't want to give away a bunch of trade secrets, but I'll just say, Stro, back me up, or that person who's making the pinfall, there are ways that we can do it. Get the opponent's shoulder up.
Yes.
I went through class after class with the great Glenn Osborne, with my mentor Jim Kettner. These are trade secrets. These are things that nobody needs to know. Get that shoulder up. Or is there going to be an accident every now and again? There is, right? But I'm seeing basic moves where these people don't know their spot, don't know where they're at, can't get a shoulder up, don't know where they're at in the match. And again, most of the people are making a lot more money than I would have ever imagined seeing in wrestling that I've ever made. And I'm like, it's
Oh,
unacceptable. When do we, as fans, not call that out? And I mean, we can't, sure, we can't go make them be responsible. But I think as a consumer, then start speaking, turn it off, don't buy the
it,
product anymore.
how,
That's how
how is
you
this
get them.
making worldwide TV? How are these mistakes working worldwide TV?
That's
It boggles my
exactly.
mind.
That's a really good question.
It really does, and I'm not being nitpicky by any means. Matter of fact, I'm being
Oh, I
nice
know.
compared to what a lot of people would have done.
You've always been really, yeah, you've always been really, really open to modern wrestling, the way it's done. Yeah, so just for context, anyone who's listening, Stro is not the guy who's going to come out and pick it apart just to pick it apart, right? So go
No,
ahead,
it's
Stro. Sorry.
it's quite all right. It's just it boggles my mind because it used to be getting on television and performing on television was a journey to get there. I mean, they don't let any
Yeah,
Tom, Dick, and
Right.
exactly.
Harry on your television screen and produce. They have to earn their stripes and perfect their craft. But what we're seeing way too many mistakes, way too many botches, way
Hmm.
way too much inexperience. Experience. I mean,
Right.
my God. I mean, and you've seen it. it's not just once in the blue moon. You've seen it quite often now,
It's getting to be more and more. That's
to the
exactly what
point
I
it's
noticed.
affecting.
Yeah.
It's weighing down on the product as a whole.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I watched. It was a clip because that's how I watch all my wrestling now is on little YouTube, you know, clips, and it was I don't know what Mexican promotion it was or where it was, but this guy came running to the ring, down the ramp, jumped up on the apron, jumped up on that rope, jumped to the rope to his left, slipped, jumped back into the ring, then jumped back up onto the top rope to do a flying body press on the guy that was waiting on the other side. Why
Oh
was that
wow.
guy standing there that long? Like, did you not see that coming from the time the guy ran down the ramp? Like that made listen, it looked great. And if it was done the way it should have been done, it probably would have looked fantastic. But he just stood there like waiting, like, okay, all right, you slipped. All right. And then you see me went back down to his knees again, like, oh, let me catch right. No, did I? You're already up, dude. I already saw you
He
stand
was
up.
waiting for his
You
brother
probably
or
should
a
have been catching your
telegram to
breath
come
till you
in.
saw him coming over the rope. Right. Yeah. Like, I just, and people give Samoa Joe grief because part of it, his persona is walking away from those obvious moves. Like, yeah, I'm not taking that, and he would walk. But I think that needs to be done a little more
He's smart.
often. Like, not just to miss, but no, yeah, I'm not letting you come. Oh, I'm diving over the top rope, while I'm standing there. Now, if you catch me off guard, that's a whole nother. I didn't see it coming. But when I'm standing there and I can time it with a stopwatch, like, all right, come on, let's go. Okay, now here it
Yeah.
comes. Like, it's just laziness, I think. And like you said, getting on TV used to be like the pinnacle. That's when you knew whether you won a title or not. Your goal was to get on TV.
Yes.
Now these people are like, hey, we're TV, and excuse my French, but I don't give a shit. I don't care who I entertain. I
It
mean,
actually does come off like that. I have to be honest. It comes off like that from a lot of even top guys. Like, I don't really care.
yeah,
I don't
I have a
know because I've not
contract.
talked to him
Done.
and I don't
It's
know him. But that's to me like it feels like,
it's
wow,
like
do you
watching
not
crash
care at
test
all?
dummies on
Wow.
Red Bull. I mean,
Yeah,
You know, what's funny though. I'm laughing because while you were talking, Howard, I had this image in my head of how long would I stand there and wait for something. And I'm like, well, with my gimmick is, no one knows, but the chick magnet. It very much the fabulous ones, very much all been done before. Rick Rude elements or Rick Rude elements of those type of personas. I would have just started talking to somebody in the front row like I was hitting on them if I had to stand there that long.
hey,
right,
You have
right,
to do something. You can't just stand there and hang out. You
right.
know what
Try
I
to get a
mean?
phone number or something, right? Like, if I'm
Yeah,
standing
at
here, I might
least
as well
like,
do
hey,
something.
take me out to a date and dinner or
exactly.
something. Gosh, make it worth my while,
Yeah, and then come back and maybe they'll be
right?
there. And I'm also laughing too, Stro, because we about the old Harley race story. I was like, I'll move. That's
Right?
pretty much me.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your move again? Yeah, I'll move.
I'll
How
move.
about that?
And
Yeah,
somebody
yeah.
shows up, I
How
got, and
about
you
that
see
one?
the same stuff over and over, and they last all night. You know what I mean? And
Well, and I had asked you that question a few weeks ago when you were working TV weekly with WCW. Sometimes, but 2 or 3 times a week you were on. It, do they not? Because I know on an independent show, 100% for sure. And from when I've been to the few times I've been to the big productions, why do I see so many duplicated moves? Do they not talk to each other? Do we not put that together? Like, it's almost like everything's so compartmentalized. One match doesn't know what the next is doing, and that's a recipe for disaster. Also,
Mm-hmm.
yes,
Yeah, absolutely.
it's painfully obvious. I mean, they don't watch the wrong
Yeah,
matches and
and we,
product,
we
and
right, and we gotta stop again with it. It's got to make sense, but we gotta stop pretending, especially now that it's 2025,
is
that
it? I'm
you
just
know
kidding.
that these, a tag team doesn't talk to each other except on Monday nights when they show up to the arena. The guys
Right.
don't talk like, oh, why last week? Why did you betray me? Why did you listen? That stuff was happening, especially in Jim Crockett in Mid South and even in World Class. That was being handled on a promo at the end of that show. Right away they would try to take care of business. But in this day and age, don't act like Howard and Mozart. Howard pushed Mozart into Stroh, who gave him a super kick. Why did you do that? And don't act like we don't talk all week. Like we don't have cell phones, and he doesn't have my number.
Right. Yeah.
We left the arena Monday night at 11 o'clock, and here we are next week at 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and we're finally talking again.
Yeah, you happen to avoid me all day long while we've been at the arena too.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I was hiding.
That makes no sense.
Well, that's
Back to our
kind of like the
holes.
devil's in the details stuff. Yeah, again, missing the details and keep it simple. Stupid. Go back to the whole KISS rule, right? The
It's not
KISS.
organic. It's not organic anymore. It's
no.
like,
No.
you could hear it in the promos, you could see it in the matches, and all that. It's like, okay, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not genuine. It doesn't come off as genuine.
Right.
No, it's really hard to watch, and I think that proof is in the numbers. It's in the kids who would actually rather buy an action figure and go play their own wrestling than actually buy the action figure because they've watched it on TV and that's their hero and they want to emulate it, right? Yeah, exactly. I mean, they won't be able to buy a Stro action figure because they haven't come out yet. But
Dagnabbit. Come on, man.
I will say this, and then I'll switch gears a little bit, where we can go into a little more positive emotion, because we'll dig this rabbit hole all the way to China.
And back again.
And back again, yeah. But the other thing that I can't stand, and Howard just did, he sent something earlier in a group thread with me and Steve, our producer, and we said, everything is days now. I'm so tired of hearing how many days Roman held the title, how many days. And I made a joke, like, did I not hear somebody last night saying how many days it's been in between somebody taking a crap?
Yeah.
Now they're talking, everything is, well, it's been 547 days since they wrestled. Well, they've wrestled 27 times. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care.
Now you're trying to throw stats down my throat that mean nothing. And stop using the number of days in title reigns to make them sound longer. Talk to me about 13 years that Bruno was the champion. That the better part of a decade, Flair was the world champion.
A true world champion. A true.
Talk to me about
still match.
Yeah. I don't care that, somebody held the title 17 times now, because everybody's a 10-time world champion. When Flair was, and we all know this, it's way more than 16, but that's the accepted number.
Even walk.
Yeah.
He's got so many titles.
Exactly, and number one, how do you defend them? When do you defend them? What? And again, it's probably an unpopular opinion. She's not that once-in-a-lifetime talent everybody thinks she is to be wearing 9 titles. Now, Ultimo Dragon, let me step back, was really revolutionary and legitimately going from continent to continent, winning titles as part of when I say legitimately, I mean was at least physically really traveling to win the titles between CMLL, Japan, some of the American promotions, Canadian, I forget what was in that whole mix. He has to break that record now. Why are we so in a hurry to break records, and then we just make them mean nothing?
We got to
you know what I mean?
Right. Breaking the records.
And then you'll tell us what? Yeah, it's killing me. That's the devil's in the details. Like, just stop with the number of days somebody was the champion, because it's really old now. Now it's special when you did it one time. But now everybody, instead of just saying 1 week, it's like, we haven't seen, Wrestler X in 7 days. Just say a week. We saw him last week on TV. Like, that's how ridiculous it's getting.
Yeah.
It's been 774 days since Guy A wrestled Guy B. Just say it's been 2 years
Well,
Yeah,
since
if they
these
count
two have
coming in
met.
and out of the restroom, we're all be in trouble.
Exactly. You know, that's probably a minor point. It's just something that bothers me, and I think that there was some marketing genius that sat down somewhere that probably has a useless degree. That's like, oh, well, if we say it this way, we'll sell more pay-per-views. Negative. Doesn't work that way. How about the talent
right.
actually steps up, the writing team actually steps up? How about we create a star and a hot product?
See,
Then we'll
that's
sell some more,
you. You
premier
said a
live
mouthful right
events.
there. I mean, wrestling's all about creating new stars and keeping that cycle going. And in
Yeah,
what I'm seeing now is the same thing I've been seeing time and time and time before, where there's a certain group that just don't want to give up that spotlight, and they're holding back the
right.
machine. And you got to keep the machine going to continue to be successful. Build those new stars. There's stars right now that should be main eventing, hands down. Should be carrying the company
Yeah,
that aren't given that chance. And it's frustrating because
yeah,
it seemed like we were having the same conversation not too long ago with the same scenario, with the same deal. It's like,
yeah,
it's a vicious pattern that I'm seeing going on here. And anytime it happens, you see businesses fall, and
yeah,
you never want to let that happen to your company or business.
yeah. It's super interesting. I got a question for you though. I'll take this little rabbit hole. We'll start to dig back out of it now. Are you a music fan,
Yes,
Stro? Rock music? Do you listen to what are you listening to? So did you see the news? And Howard and I were talking about this that Rush is going to hit the road again next year with a. Now, for anybody who doesn't know, they have to have a replacement drummer because the professor Neil Peart passed
yeah,
away. So there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The choice is top notch. Do you think that these two guys, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, are not going to pick the best person for the job and somebody that they love to play? They played with one of the best drummers in
right.
the world. They know who's good and who's not. But the internet comes alive and they start knocking it. Why? Why? Why don't we? If we're going to be that critical about things, put let's take that to wrestling now. If we're going to be that critical about a replacement, which has to happen, drummer, because we're not just making a choice to omit somebody. That the great one's passed, he's gone. God rest his soul. Um, and fans are critical. Why are fans not demanding more on the every point we've just made instead of just being critical about silly stuff? Critical of uh, their favorite wrestler didn't get the push of the night. Well, maybe because your favorite wrestler isn't really, honestly, as fundamentally sound as you think they are. I don't know. That's one possible answer, right? Maybe they're being groomed to be. There's a lot of reasons. So what I was going to say, where I was going to take it was when you have to. I wanted to do a little fun thing. I was talking to Howard about. So I love I'm familiar with the drummer, and she's amazing. Um, when in wrestling did a faction have to replace a member, and where did it work well, and where did it fail miserably? I want to throw that out to you guys. What do you think, Stro? What comes to mind well, let's say first, what's an example you can think of where it was amazing? Like you replaced a member of a tag team, a faction, and it either did just as well or even better. And then the exact opposite. What do you think?
Well, factions, I think, started off strong and kind of fizzled out towards the end. Four Horsemen comes to mind.
As a whole, okay. Mm-hmm.
NWO.
Oh God, yeah. That's one that was on my list too. They really blew that
Yeah,
one.
I mean, it's like everybody and their mother became an NWO member. I mean, I thank
Yeah,
thank God I never. We came in November because
It was coming. If the company didn't get bought, you were going to be in
yeah.
it.
So
Yeah.
I was praying, please, please, come on, because it was just like once you're in that faction, it's like okay, what's I mean,
The kiss of
yeah,
death, right? It's like, because at some point they're going to turn on you and beat you up, so you know it's
yeah,
coming.
but yeah, those just come to mind. And now, um, with the Midnight Express, it was unique
Mm-hmm.
because I mean they started off strong
Yep.
with Condrey and Eaton, right? And then when
Oh yeah.
Condrey left and Stan Lake took his spot with Bobby, I mean they were great too, right?
It was seamless, right? I remember that. Two different feels, but very, very good. Both. I
And
thought
I
so
thought the
too.
same way with the Fabulous ones too. Um, well,
Yep.
uh, the
Mm-hmm.
Fargos pretty much started it all with Fabs, right? But years ago, and then
Yep.
it went, they
Exactly.
resurged with Steve Kerr and Stan Lane, and and
Oh
then
yeah.
and then there came another successful tandem of Eddie Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich, my former tag team partner.
Yeah, that's right. You. Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
What about
some good combinations.
what what about the Heavenly Bodies? I
Yeah,
liked both
I
versions
did
of the
too.
Heavenly
And
Bodies too.
I've been in the ring with both of them, and both of them were
Mm-hmm.
solid teams, man. Really, really good teams.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Jimmy Del Rey and Dr.
What
Tom
about Oh yeah, yeah. Jimmy
and
Del Rey,
Stan
Dr.
Lane.
Tom. It was Stan Lane was the weren't Stan Lane and Dr. Tom
Yeah,
right at
yeah,
first?
yes.
Am I wrong?
They were the
I
first
can't
ones, and
remember now.
then
Mhm. What about when for you did because I could probably tell you it's probably going to be a universal answer, but when for you did the Horsemen start to really lose their luster? Like because there were a couple versions I really liked, but when did it really kind of go awry for you?
oh, for me, as
Yeah.
as
Hmm. As a fan. Yeah.
as far as Heavenly Bodies or like
No, the
Horse.
Horsemen. What version of the Horsemen? Yeah, where did you see? Okay, this worked, and then it started to not so much anymore. It's like, all right, guys, now we're just riding off of the name of the
Well,
faction.
I think the two versions I like of the Horsemen, of course, the OG, the originals, Ole and Arn, Tully, and
Yes.
Rick, and
Yeah.
the
Agreed.
second version I really liked a lot was when Barry Windham turned heel and joined the Horsemen.
It's
Yep.
pretty universal. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say too. I didn't mind Lex because I thought Lex brought a really cool dynamic, but after Lex, I was like, all right,
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
we don't
think
need Sid, we
Lex
don't
is when
need
it after Lex
uh,
is when I think it started going kind of downhill after that
yeah.
with Sting and Malenko, and as great as Malenko was,
Yeah,
you know,
it wasn't the Horseman to me.
no.
Yeah, at that
And then
point.
of course Paul Roma. Oh my God! Don't even get started
I
on
mean, with Lex, it's
Paul
perfect
Roma.
Yeah.
because it built up his star power with the company.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah, and it was one of those things where I don't think I saw it coming as a fan, as a young fan, but once it happened, I was like, oh yeah, okay, now I follow. And that's a really neat thing to think when you're following an ongoing storyline is to look back and be like, oh, now I see where
Right,
they were going with it. But I think after well, of course, everybody was expecting it to be Tully, and from what I've been told, and Stro, you probably know way better than me that it was supposed to be Tully when they brought in Roma at the last minute. I would have just scrapped the plans entirely because while I think Roma's an incredible worker, Power and Glory was great. He was great with that team with Orndorff. He was great in almost every role he did, but that one just did not work. It was a huge letdown, I think, to fans. Nothing against his talent at all. He's great.
but I mean, nothing against the other combinations. It's just I didn't feel they had the same chemistry as those two concoctions of the Horsemen.
Yeah, and then at that point, like you can't necessarily. I don't think that we as fans or other peers, workers can hold the town responsible because that's a booking decision most of the time. It's they don't really have much of a say. It's like, okay, well, you're going to be a Horseman now. Oh, oh, guess what, Stro, you're in the NWO, and you're like, what? No, please, no.
Woo!
But but what faction would you have been in? Because didn't they have like 800 factions? It was like the Wolf Pack, and then it was like the black and white version. I don't even know what they were calling them, and there were just too many versions for me. Then they had the Latino version for a minute. I was like, what is going on here?
Honestly, I don't think the Maestro persona would have been blended in any of those factions with NWO, Horsemen, um, Dungeon of Doom. Uh, that,
No.
there was honestly there was a faction I almost got involved with. Uh, there was talks
Oh
about
yeah.
putting myself with Crowbar and Daphne, like a crazy faction.
Oh, you told me that. Somehow, some way, I think because I know Crowbar. He's an old. We're not great friends, but he's an old friend from the ECWA days. He did me a huge favor because he came to work our local show, and I was a brand new champion. We had a title called the Mid Atlantic title, which was our mid card title, and he came in and made me look like a star. That was my first taste of a different level, and I immediately got to the gym because I was like, oh, I could just get away with working out at home. Oh, I can just do that. He showed me a super fun match, but I could see him teaming with you because not that the personas themselves are alike, but there's an aura about the three of you that would have been really, really fun to that would have melded well, I think. Would I mean, were you excited about
Oh,
that
very much so,
prospect?
because we were on the road together quite often, and it's just like, man, we actually could
Yeah,
have a program and angle working together. It would have been great. I was looking forward to it.
yeah,
Then that's when the company started going that downward
hmm,
spiral, unfortunately.
yeah. That's interesting.
Kind of
What
like this
about
show. We're on a downward spiral all the time, so we're good.
I figure if we keep the bar low,
Right,
then we never have to strive
That's
to
what
be
Jake the
too
Snake
great.
like would tell me,
right.
man.
That's
It's
the
like,
secret.
and I always ask him, how you doing today, Jake? He said, I'm miserable. So why? Why are you miserable, Jake? Hey, you got to set your standards low. That way, anything that happens good, So he always says, I'm miserable every day I wake up.
Right. That's great.
I think, but it's so funny because it, I got thinking about the faction thing because of the yesterday huge news with the Rush going on tour again and doing the old songs and I was like, yeah, that's really cool. But then it gets to the point where I think I used the band Foreigner, Howard, to you
Yeah.
earlier. At what point is it no longer that band? Foreigner is a cover band. I mean, there's no
Yeah.
original members to my knowledge. I think Mick Jones can't even play guitar on stage. I think they've got Lou Graham, not the original singer. I think he is the original singer, but he's the singer that sang all the hits.
Right.
I think he's going to go on the road for a couple of shows. But at what point are you now a cover band? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing with wrestling. Like when you've moved so many people through a faction, at what point are you just a cover of the faction? Now, to your point, Stro, when you've taken the Fabulous Ones persona from the Fargos to, Steve and Stan, they owned it. For a
Yeah.
generation, that's who they
Mm-hmm.
were, you know? Whereas if you take my example of Foreigner, they're not writing new songs or writing new hits. They're just playing all the
Yeah.
old songs. Steve and Stan became they started writing their own songs in the ring, so to speak, right? And doing their own matches and just borrowed a persona. The Chick Magnets. I mean, my gimmick, my persona is based heavily on theirs. Different name, but pretty much the same thing. Um, it's so cool when I've watched these factions over the years, but at some point it's like And even some of the modern ones, I feel like the players are so interchangeable. It's like, wait a minute. Oh, they're not in a faction anymore. Oh, but they are. Oh, okay, they're not. I feel like at some point you're a cover band.
Right.
You know, you're not really that band
You
anymore. You know,
gotta
you're
evolve.
not even a
Right?
cover
You gotta
band.
evolve.
You're a tribute
Right.
act.
I mean, because like I remember someone asking me, well, some years back, why don't you go back and doing this and be so and so, whatever, like that. And I just looked them straight in the face
Mm.
and said, you want that guy? Just go take a time warp. Because, I
Hmm.
mean, I'm not
Well,
that guy anymore.
to your point,
Right.
to your point, Mozart, I just looked it up with Foreigner. Between current and past members, there have been 20 people who are actually listed on their website as either
Dude,
former or past members. 20.
I know the general answer to this, but look up how many members have been in Whitesnake. Whitesnake was one dude, period, at the end of
Oh,
the
yeah.
day. It's an astronomical number of musicians. Wait till he tells you.
Yeah, give me 1 second here.
It's unreal. I heard, and the only reason I noticed because I heard it on satellite radio about a year ago. Someone was talking about it. They were getting ready to play a song from Whitesnake, and they were like, "Well, it's pretty much just David Coverdale." And here's how many members. You know, I mean, there's people I didn't even know were in
I
that
thought the
band.
collaboration of
It's
Coverdale
crazy.
and Page was very underrated.
Oh, very underrated. Yeah, for sure, no doubt. You know, but it's huge. It's a big number. I was shocked. It makes the foreigner number look little, and that was what 20 people, something like that. Are you literally counting, Howard? I didn't want you to count. I thought you could just look it up. I put Howard to work, bro. He's been
39.
right.
39.
39.
It's unreal.
I had to,
I
I had to
mean,
keep counting in my head because I couldn't keep it on
it,
one page. I had to keep
it's.
scrolling. I'm like, oh
I
my
don't know
gosh.
what the official number is, but it was somewhere in the 40 range that I remember hearing. I was like,
Oh, my God.
whoa,
Well, speaking
you know.
of numbers that will astound you, and
Yeah,
I
we're in a numbers world now, so let's hit us with numbers. You know,
right,
we can't say days or
right.
weeks or
So
months
I was
or
listening to
Stock
I
market.
listened to a couple of different podcasts on my way home, and I listened to one like 15 things you didn't know about Friday the 13th,
oh, I
and
love those. I love those things.
going back to the original, right? Not the Becky Lynch match, not that one.
Right?
um,
Dear
but
Lord.
um,
That's Howard's match of the year candidates, Tro.
uh,
He Howard said if they don't win an award for that match, he's quitting. He's not watching anymore. He
yeah,
That
I'm
said
drove
done.
me that drove me
So
to drink a V8, man. Really. Oh, my God.
yeah,
exactly.
the main character in Friday the 13th has always been Jason Voorhees.
Right.
How many people did, and you can ballpark it if you want, how many people did Jason Voorhees
Always be a
murder
guess.
in the very first Friday the 13th?
God, I have no idea. I was a kid, and I'm not a slasher movie fan either. I like the more like realistic horror movies, like I dare say it, The Exorcist, even though it scares me half to death, and I need every light in the house on. But um, I'm just gonna guess 100. I have no idea.
No, just in the first movie, just the very first movie.
Oh, the
I know
first movie?
there was
Yes.
times that you would do a 2-for-1,
I
where
don't
you would
know.
like get a couple at the same time.
Yeah, where it's like two people are hooking up, and all of a sudden Jason kills them. I don't know.
Here's,
The 20. I'm just guessing.
okay. Here's the
No.
number that's going to shock you. The total number of people that Jason Voorhees murdered in the very first Friday the 13th
Mhm.
is 0. It was his mother.
Really?
It was his mother that was doing.
Whoa,
Yeah, see,
that's
that's the
right.
same
Forgot
face
about
that
that.
I made when I'm like, man, it's got
I
to be like
forgot. I
15 or
was a
20.
kid. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't remember that one,
it
and I
was the
lost track
mother
of those too.
because he didn't
Yeah,
come in until the very end at the end of the movie on the boat. It was the mother that started it all. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. I made the
that's
same
right.
face you did. I'm like, no way.
I was like, wow, okay, That's a technicality, though. No, that should be a DQ, Howard. I'm calling the DQ.
Right,
You broke
on
the
the
length of the rope. You clearly got involved in the match. I'm not. I mean, hell, there. I'm using an example from last night. I'm just not using names. Hell, the commentary team didn't even say anything to the effect of, well, the referees are using their discretion. There was no explanation. It's just like, what? Who booked that and thought that was okay without letting that be a disqualification? Oh, whatever.
I mean,
You know.
Yeah, I just wish wrestling made sense because I'll stop watching a movie if it doesn't make sense. Like
I know.
this ain't making sense. I'm not, and it could just be that it doesn't make sense to me. I'm not real big on sci-fi, so some of the sci-fi doesn't make sense to me.
Imagine seeing in the gorilla position all this is going down through the monitors, right? And you think, I know some people that are producers and monitor the product.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that. I mean, who's greenlighting all this? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I said that earlier.
And the legit question that I have, and this is legit, Stro, and I don't know if you know because I have no idea. I don't know how it's done specifically now. I did get a chance at one time 20 years ago to see how they were doing things, but are there boardroom meetings the next day? Like, whoa, why did that happen? What can we do? Like, kind of like, in any big company, like in my company, although there's a lot of waste and a lot of excess and a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. They're typically, if something really goes down, there's a powwow. Like, wait a minute, what's going on here, and why? How do we correct this? In a product that's specifically based on the performance, are they doing that, or is it just like, oh well, better luck next week when we get out there? Good luck, kids.
Because, oh my God, I mean, even through my time, with the big companies, is like, they were sticklers on the little things that you did. You know what I mean? And it's like, I can't imagine them sitting in the back in the gorilla, watching us go down and just letting it go. And this is a much bigger worldwide streaming scale we're seeing here. You know what I mean? It's on streaming, and it just boggles my mind when I'm watching.
Yeah, it's hard.
I asked this, I kind of talked out loud, but is this something that Triple H is watching, and at the end of the night, he's like, yeah, this is acceptable unless because it's live, we've already done it, but yeah, I'm happy with what I just produced tonight for 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is, and I'm going to go home happy. I can't even think that's crossing his mind at this point, or maybe it is because he doesn't really know that his product sucks.
It wouldn't be if it were me, that's for sure. I'd be like, what the hell happened?
Hunter's old school. He's Killer Kowalski. He knows the ins and outs of the business. I know a lot of stuff that we're seeing he wouldn't let fly, and so it's like it just scratches the brain. Like, wow,
yeah,
how has this happened?
Yeah, I don't get it.
It's insane to me because well, first of all, I had a chance to meet Killer, and I'd met him several times, and I went to a lot of training camps in Massachusetts, what's now Chaotic Wrestling, New England Wrestling Academy, I think they're calling it now. It was the Chaotic Training Center back in those days, and Coach Hollow, Mike Hollow, who was a protege of Killer Kowalski, had Killer come in, and you're right, Killer was not. He was really super cool, but he knew all the little old school tricks too, and the things that he worked a headlock on me and changed my whole entire game with a headlock. Like, let me show you something. Okay, cool. And it was just a little simple modification that changed the way that I still do it to this day. And I'll look at TV and they're doing it completely wrong. And I'm confident in telling you they're doing it completely wrong because the great Killer Kowalski showed me how to do it correctly.
Right.
So, and he wasn't the first person, but he just gave me a tweak that changed my game.
Right.
Wow. So now I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, that's all That doesn't
I
even look
mean,
real, you know.
there's
Uh,
times you don't even see them run the ropes properly.
a lot. Yeah, I was watching that last night
Gosh.
too. I was like, wow. And I don't mean like I think it's cool. Like I'm not talking for anybody fans who are listening. Like not talking about like how Ray or maybe I think one of the Usos does it where they drop into the second rope. Like okay, that's a cool style point. That's not incorrect. I've seen flat out incorrect stuff, and I just won't call anybody out. But I'm like, well, who taught you how to run a
Yeah.
rope like that? And you're on TV.
That's just run the
Okay, cool.
ropes. You know
You
what
know.
I mean?
Yeah. Well, there was a really funny. I had a conversation with my buddy Sean Royal, and Sean Royal is a great independent talent. He's been around for many years, actually about 2 decades now. He's been on the Northeast independent scene. He's very knowledgeable, very good. I'll be in a match with him November 8th. Cheap plug, Howard. You know that's
Yeah, there you
my
go.
6-man
Shameless
match.
plug.
Shameless plug with him and Aiden Chambers in the a three-way match. But we were talking. He said, "Do you remember when we were training? Everyone was trying to get to TV, or at least just to get there to have a match, right? Maybe that wasn't their aspiration to work full time, but we were told what was called the bunny hop off of
Hmm.
the rope. So they whip you to the
Oh
rope.
yeah.
You couldn't bunny hop into the hip toss. It was like walk into it very naturally. That was something that TV was a real big stickler on back in the day. Both companies, both of the what was big companies, because WCW was still huge
Hmm.
at then. No, if you're going to bunny hop into it and look all silly and take this silly, no, look very natural. And then he said, "Do you remember that?" And he's like, "Now it's kind of like the requisite to be on TV is how many Canadian destroyers can you do and take or something like that." And I
Right.
just started laughing. I'm like, "Yeah, pretty much, you know." I'm like, you know, don't care if you can't do that hip toss. How many destroyers can you do? Can you do or take? You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, it's funny,
So,
with Scott Hall before, he
mm-hmm.
passed, he was talking about interviewing, sorry, not interviewing, but training his son. Um, and
Okay.
he sent his son over to Japan for some training.
Yeah.
And I don't know who was talking to him. He's like, why didn't
Cody.
you
Cody Hall.
send,
Yeah.
do it over here? And he's like, because
Yep.
I wanted my son to learn how to do a proper wrist lock. I wanted to learn how to do a proper headlock. I wanted to learn how to do a, drop down toe hold, and
Yeah.
a takedown. And I wanted him to learn it correctly. He's like, here nobody knows what a wrist lock is, a standing wrist lock is anymore,
Not even
and
close.
how
It's
effective it can be if it's applied correctly. And he's like, that's what I wanted my son. I think his name's Cody.
yep.
I wanted my son to learn the right way. And the shame of it is we should be teaching everybody the right way. And I'm not saying there aren't, you know, schools that don't teach it the right way, because I do believe there are. Um, but I watch again YouTube and Instagram and Facebook clips of
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Morton's school, the School of Morton down
Yep.
in Tennessee, and he's training guys, the right way, and it shows. It shows in his son and all the other guys that wrestle for him. It shows that he's being trained by a guy that was trained by a guy that was trained by a guy correctly. So that lineage is getting passed down, a little bit, and it shows. I mean, you could I would put, you know, any of the guys that went, through Ricky Morton school up against any of the guys and girls, or for that matter, in WWE or AEW for that matter, in just a strictly a wrestling match, they would outshine any top performer that either company had in a wrestling match. I'm not talking about the entertainment. I'm talking about straight up wrestling. How
It
does
used
it
to
look
be
aesthetically?
a prerequisite, though, Howard, to learn all those basic things. Like G Point Scott Hall was saying, like, how do you apply the wrist lock? How do you apply the top wrist lock? How do you reverse it? I mean, just hours and hours of chain wrestling, like working through it. Okay, where would you go from here? Where would you go from there? The instructors are showing you, the other guys are showing you different cool things. And there's not one way to necessarily learn it or teach it, but the point
Right.
is that you're learning the fundamentals correctly. Now it's what I see a lot of times, and it's okay because it is part of modern wrestling, is let's break out the crash pad and see how many dives we can do. Now a standard exercise in schools, from what I'm seeing, is let's practice diving through the ropes and I catch you on the outside. Okay, cool. But again, to your point, I didn't see you run, and maybe that's just what they're putting out for the hype videos. But did I see you work a wrist lock? Did I see you
Right.
for 5 minutes not be allowed to get out of that hammer lock? I need you to work that hammer lock. Okay, now you can reverse it.
Right.
Can you do that? And are you going to do that in a match? Probably not. But fundamentally, right, Stro, this is how I was taught, and I'm sure that knowing your heritage and lineage, you had to be able to do that. Okay, get down on your back. I'm going to take your leg, and I'm going to work your leg for X amount of time. Okay, now I want you to work up. You can show me all the cool flying fancy stuff with the most expensive latest crash pad and the nicest ring, but show me the fundamentals that you would, that it was a prerequisite before you ever were allowed to get into a match in scrimmage, in, I don't know, scrimmage the right word, but in practice, before you ever walk to a curtain on a professional show with a paying crowd. That the fundamentals have now shifted from those type of things: wrist locks, hammer locks, headlock takeovers, escapes, pinfalls, getting out of the pin, to what's the coolest dive I can do to stay safe. Okay, how
Right.
about let's not worry about that right now. How about let's do the other stuff first? Build the foundation, as my coaches would always say.
Right. No,
And
absolutely.
if you know, a
You
lot of
know,
the
I
high
mean,
flyers through the years end up later on becoming mat wrestlers just for that very same reason, because you got to preserve your body.
Well,
You can't
yeah.
do that type of style, forever.
Did Yeah, didn't weren't we? We were just talking, Stro, about how the great, not just, but maybe a few months ago, about how the great Muda changed his style over the years. Jushin Thunder Liger, who was an innovator of that style, changed his style after a while.
yeah.
The great Rey Mysterio is very different than he was when he was, 180 pounds and 20, years old. AJ, one of my favorites, AJ Styles. Not AJ Lee, although I think she's kind of cool. I don't know her. AJ Styles is phenomenal, right? That nickname's legit. He's very different, and he'll be the first one to tell you. But there's a reason for that.
Right.
That style is demanding. It's more demanding than I think any fan who's never done it could ever comprehend. Um, and my hat's off to guys that can, that can go like that. I've wrestled many guys like that, and it's a very fun style. But, Stro, let's talk about Eddie Guerrero. Eddie could wrestle. Eddie was as solid on the mat as anybody, and I think I don't want to say Eddie's underrated, but what I think Eddie's underrated at is how good of an actual fundamental wrestler he was. Think about his exchanges with Kurt Angle.
Amazing,
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
I mean, to be that fundamentally sound, to be wrestling an Olympic gold medalist who just, let's face it, Kurt got it. Kurt was a once in a generational talent. Um, uh, so to be able to wrestle on that level with guys who would compete, with a guy who competed in the Olympics, um, Eddie could do it seamlessly. But again, he had wrestled around the world. His heritage, the Guerreros were all solid, more than solid wrestlers.
They
So
all started at an early age too.
that's the, yeah, very early,
Yeah. They started at like 7 years old.
yeah.
It's unfair almost.
It's almost like Dirty Dom. He's a 20-year veteran now.
Yeah.
It's that's how those Guerreros started when they were earlier. But yeah, you proud of me, Howard? I use a modern reference there.
That's. I mean, we're not always old curmudgeons and grumpy old guys. I mean, we do
Yeah,
recognize legitimate talent when we see it, and Dominic's got it. But Dominic has it because of his old school father and uncle
yeah,
and grandfather, and all of that stuff.
yeah, yeah,
So it still goes back to old school. I don't care what nobody says.
yeah. Well, when you've moved so far away from fundamental, and it's not just wrestling. To me, I see a lot of art forms doing that way. Music is I love music. I always have. I'm not a musician, but a lot of friends are, and I've had conversations with them about where the music industry has gone and the way that things are gone now and the way that they're done. When it becomes too corporate and it becomes too homogenized, you start to lose the art form a little bit,
Yeah.
Um, and I don't. I think wrestling is more than a little bit of lost the art form. There's still some really cool stuff. It's funny now because if you look at TV and you watch the outfits, I mean, how far have they come with like ring gear? Now you're not just in the old nylon red or black trunks,
Yeah.
or it's really cool looking. So there's a lot of innovation. There's a lot of cool stuff that they do.
It's your ring attire, and it's always been this way so much, but it was always
Mhm.
plain then. But your ring attire is so much part of your persona, with it being airbrushed or whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
look at Rick Rude's tights that he always had,
Oh,
but
they were cool.
even but before that, it was I mean, Ric Flair had a simple RF or just an F on his trunks,
Hmm.
Dusty, what was known for his wrestling boots, but you know, it wasn't like it is now. Like it is so far from where it started. It's it was. I don't want to say odd, like it's a bad thing, but it was odd if
Hmm.
somebody came to the ring that wasn't Ric Flair or somebody like that that had an elaborate ring jacket or style.
Well, and I think that what's cool about that is again, look at what they were. So if you were using an enhancement guy, as great and as underrated as they were, it was probably a really pretty done by design marketing thing that they were going to look pretty bland compared to the star.
Right.
So that makes sense to me. Where I wish that they would use a little bit more thought in today's wrestling is I see a lot of, for example, I see it a lot with women. They'll wear the same color, a little bit different outfit, but I'm like, nah. See, we were taught you don't wear the same color. If you're going to be wrestling as a baby face, maybe try to get the brighter colors, the neon colors. The heels maybe stay a little bit darker, a deep purple, a black, you know, something like that. Or if your gimmick called for it, like Flair at times could get away with some bright, goofy white or yellow, but
Right.
he was the nature boy and it was flamboyant, so it worked. So there are exceptions to the rule, but now I look at, a group of 4 or 5 women and they'll almost all be wearing the same colors. And I'm like, wait a minute, if I hadn't been following this for 6, 8 months, I don't know
Are your
who's who.
opponents or tag team
And I'm
Yeah.
pretty
partners?
sure.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
exactly. Right. So yeah, the tag teams obviously Stro, right? You remember, and they still do, should, maybe wear some, especially if they're a constant tag team, wear some type of matching, ring attire, but it's a small thing, but again, it's those details that it's not just the details of the wrist lock or the headlock. It's the details of, you know, when I pin somebody, did I pull them away from the rope so they can't grab a rope? Because I used to make a habit of it, and I still will. Howard, I want you to pay attention to this.
Okay.
If somebody tries to pin me near a rope and I am not the baby face, and even if I am, if you have me too close to the rope, I'm gonna put my foot on the rope. Why would I waste the energy to kick out?
Right.
And
Yeah.
people
It makes
think
sense,
they
and
have
it's
to keep
perfectly
their
within the
attire on.
rules.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. There's the that's a problem. That's a problem that I don't think a lot of fans will be too upset about when we have the wardrobe malfunctions with
Right.
some of these gorgeous females, right? And for the ladies, I don't know. I have one friend. She's so funny. One of my oh, he didn't shave, and I'm like, oh dear God, like now I can't unsee that, and I'm like, I don't know why, but yeah, you're right. Like
But
Jesus.
but you didn't need to bring it to my attention.
Yeah, we've gone from Arn Anderson, who would sit out in the sun for hours a day. Because remember Arn's line of, he's like, because fat looks better tan than it does white.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it does. But Arn would come in tan like a Greek god. He's got this beautiful complexion, right? Now we've gone from that to, guys who aren't shaving where they should be shaving and quick tan,
Yeah.
It's all, Jesus. But just so you know, I'll be using quick tan because I'm white.
Uncle Loogie and Itchy Scratchy, Cheech and Chong's nice still smoking movie.
Exactly.
When they fought the Invisible Man.
Funny. Man.
That's great.
It's great. Oh, man. Well, Howard, we might want to wrap this train wreck up, because if not, I'm going to keep going on and on about how people should be shaving, and it's not going to be pretty, because I'm going to get pretty
Yeah. I think we've gone just about deep enough in this rabbit hole when we talk about shaving, and so I think that's a very good time to cut it off, because I don't need our producer Steve wondering what's coming out of our mouth next.
It's going to be like, the whole show's going to be like bleep bleep.
Right. He'll be texting us all night. What did you say? Why did you say that? And,
here's I can't wait to see what Steve names this episode, because it's going to be like bleeps, crap, and the amount of days somebody was a champion. So I'll tell you guys this, and it is a great story. So my Jim Kettner, who founded ECWA and ran it for 30 years or so, and I'm probably wrong. He a number of decades Jim ran it until about 2010, I think. He was great friends with Dennis Coralluzzo, and it's a pretty legendary name. Dennis was the guy who walked Dan Severn to the ring as the NWA World Champion when he was UFC champion, and Dennis was a good dude. I knew Dennis, not well, but I knew him, and we were doing an angle where Simon Diamond, Lance Diamond, was being treated unfairly by the promotion, and somebody had the idea to let Dennis speak on his behalf in this promo, and he was just gonna lay it out, and it was all planned. It was going to be the bleep promo, and it was absolute gold. I'm sure it's out there somewhere, but he's like, you can't bleep with Simon Diamond, or he was Lance. You can't bleep. Every other word was beeped out, and he's just on, his face is red and his hat's like coming on, and he's just bleeping. And this is a family friendly show. We were running in a church at the time. It was comedy gold, and when I say comedy gold, I don't mean you make a caricature of a man. It was done in a very serious way that just was entertaining, right? That's the name of the game, right, Stro?
You're right. Well, what we said it, I know it was on last week. Our shows, I don't want to say they run together, but we talk so much nonsense on both shows.
Yes, Stro, what are you doing tomorrow night? Because we got the VOC Nation. We might need you to come on.
Right, we got the VOC Nation. If baseball wasn't entertaining, I wouldn't watch it. If football wasn't entertaining, I wouldn't watch it. If all these sports teams, at the end of the day, yes, they are or should be entertaining.
Yeah, right.
So no different than pro wrestling. Yes, I want some entertainment mixed in with my wrestling, but just like a football game, I came to watch football.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's entertaining. I came to watch wrestling, and now I'm hoping that maybe there's some wrestling in the wrestling show that I paid my money to go see.
You want cake, you gotta have some icing,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Great way to put it.
That's a great way to put it. And what a great way to wrap up on it, thinking about a piece of cake, sitting here as a fat guy that's trying to lose weight. Now I got the pictures of a cake,
I had a protein bar for dinner because I have a show in 4 weeks. I'm like, that's what happens when you're my age and still wrestling. It's like, how many weeks do I have until I got to be in the ring again? What can I
That's
eat
what
tonight?
Les used to tell me.
Well,
not fight, so you gotta have some protein.
Not to rub it in, Mozart, but last night I had raviolis and meatballs for dinner.
God. You're
and
rubbing
tonight
it in.
I had sausage and peppers over a little bit of cheesy rice.
One of my favorite things to do on social media as I'm scrolling is I will never scroll past one of Stroh's. That was a tongue twister. Scroll past one of Stroh's posts about what he's eating for dinner. I
Oh yeah.
have to check it out,
Oh,
or it might be lunch.
well, that's what I'm trying to compete with, Moach. I'm trying to compete with
Yeah.
what he's eating. So I gotta step my game up.
And it always and every time I see it, though, Stroh, I look at it and I laugh because I'm like, I wonder if Lex told him to eat that.
Oh yeah.
But Stro, before we get out of here, how can people follow you and what are you up to lately?
Well, my official website for everything on me is go chirp.me/Rob Kellum. It's got all my social media apps, news, what I'm up to, merchandise, etc. And this Thursday night, WCW Retro on VOCNation.com,
Oh,
7:30
cool.
p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a special guest, and he's an independent pro wrestling star. Kid Kush will be the guest for this Thursday night.
Nice.
Okay.
Very cool.
Awesome. So you want to check that out on Thursday night. Go to VOC.com or call VOC.com, sorry, to check out WCW Retro. We will be back tomorrow, not here on I Still Call It a Lariat, but we will be on the VOC Nation
Let me know.
with Matt Madness.
We always need to. We always need
always
to
need
hot
help.
tag too. We get ourselves in trouble, and I'm just like, oh God, can somebody text Stro and tell him to come on? I need a
Right.
tag. I need to tag out.
I should be around.
Don't forget to check us out.
I love having you come on, Stro. Like you're just like the coolest guy. Just your smile, like your persona, your personality, not your persona. Your true to life personality is just friggin' awesome, man. Like I love you. I appreciate you coming on to hang out with us.
Such a pleasure to be here,
man.
Yeah.
Howard, you're okay. I mean,
Yeah. I'm just here.
A bit of all right.
But no, don't forget to check us out.
Look.
Check us out tomorrow at 7:30 on the VOC Nation for Matt Madness with Morgan and Mozart.
This is a blast, man. This really made my
I'm
night.
having a great time. If you're in the Morganville, New Jersey area on November 8th, don't forget to check out ECWA, one of, if not the oldest independent professional wrestling promotion in the United States. They have their Night of Unusual matches on November 8th.
Cool.
Special bell time 6 p.m. I don't have the matches here in front of me, but it'll be a tremendous, card. Tickets are very, very, very affordable. ECWAWrestling.com. You can get your tickets. I would get them fast because this will probably sell out. I'm almost assured that it will sell out. But guys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
We'll have to do this again, Stro. Until we talk next time, guys. Just help us dig that rabbit hole. Help us, go down if there's anything you want to talk about. Reach out to us. It'll be great. And
we like to say here, Howard, is keep your head in the hole.
Keep your head in the hole. There you go.
Come back to I Still Call It a Lariat podcast.
Yes.
As an ode to I still call it a lariat legitimately, and I might even just break out the flying lariat in tribute to one of my heroes, Barry Windham. So,
nice.
And by flying, I mean I'll probably get like an inch or two off the ground, but I'm gonna try.
It'll be a leaping lariat. How's that?
It'll be a skipping lariat by the time I'm done. But yeah, I do still call it a lariat, and thanks to Steve for giving us this forum, and good luck editing this one, my brother.
Yeah, good luck getting this past the FCC or wherever you got to get past. Until then, guys, everybody have a great night. This is fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we will talk again.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.